Hello, this is Dorothy Smith with Close to My Heart. I'm a Close to My Heart independent consultant. And today I'm going to do the second layout of Into the Wild. I've been calling it In the Wild. My mistake, it's Into the Wild, as you can see down on that strip towards the bottom. And look at how cute this cutout paper is. I love that moose. I haven't used him, but I'll have to put him someplace because he's just too adorable. Anyway, full disclosure, I did the second layout already, but I didn't press the record button because I'm a genius, which I've told you before. And this way I get to share with you what the pages, all the pages from Into the Wild look like. And, so you get two of each of the background and texture and then the cutout papers. And this is what I used, that side, the wood side, for the first layout. This is a gray line and star on the back and a really nice plaid. I mean, that just really goes well with male stuff, and the blue also. And that background is nice. It's got kind of a wood grain in the background with the diamonds. This has got text, which makes for a good background, and the trees with the gray background. So the good thing about me screwing up is that I really didn't get to show you these papers because I had already cut them up. And so now I get to show you the papers. Plus, the second layout has a diagonal cut in it. And to tell you the truth, the moose is looking at me. He's so cute. Anyway, the diagonal cut that I made on the original layout was done incorrectly. I tell you, the diagonals are a little tricky. So the lines are going up and down here on the gray side of the paper. So we're going to cut a 9 by 9 square, and then we're going to cut the diagonal. So the grayed out area shows you which side of the triangle we're going to use. So so it shows you to have the lines lined up like this as you make the cut. And so there's my 9-inch going that way and the 9-inch going this way. And then you want to make sure that you turn it back so that they're going up and down, and then do a 45 on them and put the corners into your cutting track. And to get it absolutely precise, you can either use your wire, or I use my cutting rail now to get it on the very tip of the corners. And then you'll get a nice sharp point to your triangles on both sides. So there we go. So now I've got the lines going the right way for this one. So I set that aside, and this is my trees. Yeah, the trees I had going the wrong direction. I mean, it's not a big deal. I did have the trees, they weren't laying down, at least on the other layout, but they were in a different orientation than what the layout suggests. So the trees are going to lay down to get the cut. So I lay them down that way, make the 9-inch cut, turn them around, make the 9-inch cut. There. And now we're going to turn the trees around again and then do it on the diagonal. So see, the trees are laying down, so you want to cut them laying down, and the diagonal is going to go from left to right. So we're going to do it like this. And I'm telling you, it really doesn't look like it makes any difference, but it really does make a difference. So you just have to be aware of your paper if it's a directional paper. So I'm going to set one aside and we'll use the other one. I'm just trying to figure out which one I'm using here. See, you have to, I was thinking that I messed up, but I didn't. I get very confused doing these diagonals, I'm just telling you. So, anyway, this gives me, a chance to kind of walk you through the diagonal paper cuts. And so now I really like the way the lines go up and down. I didn't really, on my first layout, I really didn't like the, I didn't like the lines going left to right rather than up and down. This way, they're kind of going the same direction as the trees. And it's just a more non-interrupted look. It's not confusing. It flows better. That's what it is. It just flows better. Having the trees go up and down and the dashed lines go vertical. So I'm happier with this. And lucky for me, I didn't press down all the pieces real hard. And so I'm able to remove the other cut pieces carefully and stick them down onto the light side of the linen cardstock. So I kind of lucked out in many ways. I lucked out from my friend Sylvia having the package that she hadn't touched yet. And so I'm going to order her another package of this paper. And she came through for me. Woohoo. What a great friend. Anyway, there we go. So now, and actually the other square that I cut was slightly less than 9 inches. And so the green pieces didn't really fit perfectly on my first layout. So I guess there was a reason why I didn't press that record button. Anyway, here we go. I'm back on track again. I was stumped for several days, I have to tell you. First I got mad at myself, and then I got depressed with myself, and then it was like, okay, what do you need to do to make this right? And here we go. So I'm going over 1.5 inches from the left and 1.5 inches from the bottom. So this 9x9 square goes smack in the middle of the 12x12 paper. So that means there's 1.5 inches all around, because 1.5 and 1.5 is 3, and 3 and 9 is 12. So I'm going to be much happier with this layout. So there we have piece 1, and here comes piece 2. And so, yay, I'm back in business. And the only thing I'm missing showing you is using the stencil to get the chevron pattern on the peach paper. And what I can say is that the chevron stencil is very similar to it's the same exact idea of tapping the sponge, rubbing the sponge, and then tapping it onto the stencil. It's the same idea as layout 1. And but I'm reusing all the pieces that I had already stenciled. So I really, see, these came off. I'm really glad. I mean, that's sort of the nice thing about Tombow, is it's not an absolutely permanent adhesive. If you don't press it down, then it just doesn't, it adheres to the paper, but it doesn't just tear it up when you're pulling it up. So it can be repositionable. And lucky for me that over a couple of nights it didn't adhere more to the papers. So lucky me, I lucked out all around. So the green pieces are going 3 inches up from the bottom, and even the little zip strip could come up and it gets set right on top of the fern green kind of chevron look background and texture paper. So here comes the light side of the peach with the chevron stencil. I don't know what else to call it except chevron. It might be called something else. But anyway, it pulled up very nicely. I'm going to go ahead and reuse it. And I could pull up the other, some of these things are Cricut Design Space cuts. The title, I'll show it, you'll see it when I get to the end. But I was able to not have to go back into Cricut Design Space and cut all these pieces all over again, which was going to be kind of a pain. So I was really glad I could pull these things up. Fortunately for me, I didn't use liquid glass to put the title down that says Ready, Set, Go, because the liquid glass would have been an absolutely permanent adhesive that I would have had to. It would have torn it up if I tried to pull it up. So I would have had to have gone on to Cricut Design Space. So here we go, putting the little bit of peach down, and that just adds a little softening touch and blends beautifully with the grays. The light linen gray and the darker charcoal grays that are on the background and texture papers. And even this little guy, this was from the stamp set, and I stamped it with Fern ink, and then I cut it out. So there's the little, I don't know what that's called, a teardrop, I don't know what it's called. It looks like a Ouija board thing to me, but anyway, I stamped it in the Fern and cut it out. I stamped it onto white daisy cardstock, and then I did had a hole punch, and I punched out the hole there, and I strung the silver embellishing twine through the hole several times, and then tied it. So that was easy to pull up. That came up. I had that on a foam dot, a raised foam dot. So this is also the white was a Cricut Design Space cut, and I was able to pull that up. And I filled the inside of it, because it's cut out just in white. I filled the inside with the yellow paper. Oh my goodness, what is the yellow paper? It's Goldrush. Sorry about that. And then I sponged over it lightly to give it kind of a distressed look. So I'm pulling up the gray linen cardstock that was cut 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, 6 1/2 by 4 1/4 or 4 1/2, and there's a 4 by 6 placeholder for a picture, for a 4 by 6 picture there, and it pulled up okay. And so I'm going to place it 3/4 of an inch down from the top of the gray tree paper. It's 1/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch from the top, and 1/2 an inch over from the bottom. So that goes there. I'm just going to tuck the little things over it slightly. And lucky me. So the other little grouping here is a bunch of little banners made with the plaid background and texture paper I showed you. So that's like 1 1/4 inch wide, cut into a banner. Actually, that's not from that plaid. It's from one of the cutout pieces from the mousse paper. There's a strip that has that green plaid at the bottom, and so I just cut it down to the size that I wanted, which is probably about 1.5 inches. Oh, maybe it's more like 2 inches. And then the smaller banners were cut in the Cricut Design Space, but you could easily cut your own. And then on one of the fern green smaller banners, I did a little fern green chevron stamping to the smaller banner. And then I layered them together and I stapled them with our little Close to My Heart stapler that has really cute little tiny staples in it. And that strip that is sticking to my hand is the Goldrush 1/4-inch strip that goes on top of the 3x3 picture placeholder. And so just going to take one of them off and tuck it up under the banners and line it up according to the paper picture holder on the right hand side. So it's going to go 3/4 of an inch down also. And going to put the strip down first, kind of tuck it under those banners. So I really should have put the Goldrush strip down first and then put the banners on top of it. So I'm just going to tuck that under, but I don't have anything showing up on the left hand side, so I'm going to move that little I do a lot of repositioning. Oh my goodness. If this isn't showing you that life isn't perfect, I don't know what will do it for you. I mean, I'm just like, here it is, people. This is my life. Oh my goodness. Anyway, there we go. Strip on top, just a little accent strip. And then I'm going to move my banners. And this was a zip strip, a little piece of zip strip that I cut to size after I completed putting the banners together. Yeah, there, you need to come down a little bit so you've got space to put the strip. There we go, Dorothy, you did it. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now I need one more 3x3 placeholder, and one of them comes up. There we go. Put it down in place, and then we're almost finished here. I'm going to go I took the Ready, Set, Go off of the first layout already. Fortunately, it came off very easily. So what I have to remember to do now is to press these down so that, because I am not going to do this a third time, so I'm going to press those down real good and put it down at the bottom. So here we go. So these papers, pull out any of your outdoor activity papers. I mean, they show some horseback riding with this, but any kind of outdoor activity just really goes well with this layout. And you're going to have something with the gray. I mean, that is not going to clash with any colors. So whatever colors you have in your pictures, will really stand out from this gray background. So there's my first page, and that's the one that I had the hardest time with, and that I needed to get the papers from my friend for. So now I'm going to show you the page 2, which I started putting together the first time around when I realized, that, oh my gosh, I didn't press the button. I didn't hit the record button. So I'm just going to pretty much leave these. I'm going to do some repositioning here, but I will tell you that the Happy Trails stamp is from the stamp set. And Happy Trails is actually one stamp. Now you could cut it up, or you could just ink the trails and put it on a banner, or cut a banner around the trails. And actually, something pretty easy to do would be to just stamp Happy Trails on the strip there. So you just stamp the happy trails, and then you stamp a second one that's just trails, and you cut that one out and put it on a banner, and it can go over the other trails that's below it. So you can do it that way, and that'd be pretty easy. Now that Goldrush sort of banner, I don't know what to call that, it kind of looks like a table to me, but it's one of the design cuts, so it came, fortunately it came up easy, yay. And here are the rest of the pieces. I had to cut a piece because I couldn't find where I put it, so there's that in place, and a picture is going to go at the top. So this gray piece, I'm going to cut it down a little bit because it's actually supposed to be 3 by 3, but it's not 3 by 3. So as a result, the holder on the bottom was too long. So I could have just cut the the placeholder off, but I decided to make this one the right size. So I don't know how I just got off by maybe 1/8 of an inch. Unless I'm using, well, whatever. I'm cutting off about 1/8 of an inch on both sides, and which means I'm going to have to reposition, my favorite word. You've heard of redacted? Well, this is repositioning. So I'm just going to move all the things up and tuck them up together so they abut one another. And I seem to have a hard time getting them straight. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's 3 by 3, right? So if you don't have great eye, just go over to the side of the paper. You know that's straight. So there it goes, and then I'm going to move the little chevron stamped peach up just a tad, and then the placeholder comes up just enough to have it lay right up to the bottom of the paper. So there we go. So, and then when I put the green paper down, of course, it has to come up because I lined it up with the thing that I was going to change, which I didn't know I was going to do when I first laid that green piece down, believe it or not. So now we're going to put the placeholders, which you don't have to put those there. I just do them to say, okay, just so there's no thinking, put a 3 by 3 picture, crop your picture to 3 by 3. So there we go, there's that one. And I need another placeholder, but what I'm missing is a 3 by 3 piece of linen cardstock. I don't know where that ended up. So I'm going to cut, I have to go into the next room to get a 3 by 3, another placeholder. So I'm just going to cut a 3 by 4 down. I mean, what the heck? They get covered up anyway. It doesn't make any difference. So I'm just going to put that down and mark it as 3 by 3 with my jotting pen. Le pen. I want to call it Le Jot for some reason. So 3 by 3. And then it actually doesn't. Oh my goodness. It's so sad. Okay, so it gets repositioned because every piece of paper has to get repositioned. That's the order of the day. So it's going up there, and then I'm going to cut from my first layout. I'm going to cut a piece of that thing off. Whoops, not the good one, Dorothy, the bad one. So I'm just going to cut the bottom 3 by 3 corner off because, good grief. I'm just going to get it done here and now. And hopefully this painful saga in all of our lives will be over soon. So I'm just going up 3, flipping it around, putting it over at 3, going down 3. There we go. So now now you could use this, for a little bit of journaling. We're going to put a couple of little cutouts on there. Take off those extraneous pieces from the other side. And I'm going to put some stars and an arrow on this. And so I'm just grabbing one of my arrows and a couple of, couldn't find my tweezers. I don't know what I did with my tweezers. I had them there. So there's a star, and I'm popping it up with the little foam dots. A bigger arrow, that's not an arrow, it's a star, and a small star. And there may be a glitter, unless I do the arrow first. There's my arrow. That's one of the arrows. And I'm just going to go ahead and use it because I don't know where the appropriate arrow is, which actually it's, you see up there by that ruler, and the iPad is off to the right. Well, that's the arrow that's supposed to be down there, which I can't find while I'm looking at it. Goodness. I need to drink some of that jellyfish stuff, get my brain in better order, although that's just kind of disgusting. I don't think that jellyfish stuff is probably good for you. Anywho, we'll go with my brain as it is, because then if you can laugh at it, please laugh all you want to, because holy moly, how can you not? Anywho, here we go. I'm making up my own, taking the arrow, putting it on the background and texture paper that has the, it's Fern, and it has the lines on it, so it adds a little interest to that arrow on the inside. I'm just, I tumboed it to the green, and now I'm cutting out around the arrow. So pretty simple for an open arrow, and then you can just fill it in very easily by just cutting around. So pretty simple thing to do, and that arrow is just going to be pointing to that picture. So there we go, arrow in place. Happy trails to you. And I am going to find some of my glitter gems and put a couple up there by the happy, and on the and this is where I can't find my tweezer. It's probably right in front of me too, but I'll just use the tip of my scissor and do it. So here we go. I'm gonna put the little sparkly gem there, and another little small sparkly gem up there, and then a larger sparkly gem. These silver gems are really, sparkle gems are really pretty. They are very, very sparkly. So that's going to go there. And the only thing left I have to do is to get some of the silver embellishing thread and wrap it around that little gold figure up there under trails. So I tried to open up a new package and couldn't find the end. So I'm going to go find my old package. That's running low but still has stuff in it. So there we go. Simple, simple. Wrap it around a couple of times. Tie it in a knot. You could tie it in a bow if you wanted to. I'm tying it in a knot. I'm making it simple. And then I'll cut the ends, leaving some length, and I'll kind of run them between my fingernails to try to open them up a little bit, just so it's not, there's several, see the little threads, they look cute that way. I like them that way. And cut the other side. Try to separate it too. So there we go. I am finished. I am happy. I am happy it's done. So ready, set, go. Happy trails to you. There we are. Now, let me clean up my mess so you can get a good view of the layout. And I hope you enjoy this. This is the Deluxe workshop. This isn't the simple Into the Wild workshop your way kit. I will do those also. Those are simpler than these, and you have complements to work with, stickers essentially, and there isn't stamping with that, so it's considerably easier to do. This is if you want a little bit more challenge in your life. Sometimes challenge is good, sometimes, you know, life is challenging enough. So, but this is the Deluxe kit. So if you go on my website to try to find it, it's available until probably the end of August or until supplies last. I have to say that anymore because where our supplies are running out, if people really decide they like something, they go out and they get it, and they run through all of the supplies. So if you think you like this, I would go out and get it. This is the Deluxe, once again, the Deluxe Into the Wild workshop from Close to My Heart. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was helpful. That Get Lost was a stamp from the stamp set, by the way. Thank you. Bye-bye.